Hello everybody, we are running Black Blizzard's Atmospheric River. This is his first introduction to the 4-phase drill. We are running a mark and blind conjunction. This one is teaching the dog to run behind the gun. We're running down a 2-track. You can see it clearly here as River is being taught this blind, which he has seen before. This was part of his double T. But it's been about 6 months since we ran this, so we're just showing him where the blind is. So initially we're just teaching the blind, and he had a rough go on the first time we sent him to the blind. So now we're going to repeat this again. So I want to make sure he clearly understands where this blind is, and it's very early in the morning. It's about 8:15, 8:30. Got some low lights. There's a white marker on the end of this that he can see, but it's a little hard to see on camera. So we're going to repeat this blind. So Julie's just sitting there. That's my wife. That's better. I'm going to run it right down the track of the 2-track. So that's my corridor. My goal is to keep him inside that 2-track as he heads across the field and down across another dirt road, and there's a pile of bumpers down there. So we got a white marker, pile of bumpers, and that's the second time he's ran it. So now I feel that he clearly understands that there is a blind down the end of this 2-track that we're running down, and he's running pretty tight behind the gun. So now I'll have Julie stand up, and we're going to give a dry shot, and then she's going to sit down. We'll run the blind again. So she stands up, she shoots, she sits down. Now look how I got him lined up. I got him angled way to the right, and that's exactly where he went. That's not what I wanted. I did a poor job there of lining him up. So we have to handle, and again, he's outside the 2-track, but I'm trying to kick him in there, and he does fade into it. It's a little error on my part there. I didn't line him up very well after the dry shot, but I'm sure the shot sucked him over to the right as well, but his head, spine, and tail were clearly lined up to the right. So it's interesting when you film yourself, you learn these little tidbits when you look back at it. And you go, yep, that's why he went that way. But all right, so we got that. So that's the third or fourth time he's been down to this blind. And let's see what we do here. I think we're going to kick him over a little bit, and Julie's going to stand up, shoot and throw. That's a bird. Going to send him for the mark. He got a little ahead of me, so I'm making him heel, keeping a high standard on the line. And he's been very vocal lately, and I'm working on that as well. And if he starts to bark uncontrollably, I deny him, and we'll just walk off. But that did not happen during the session. He did whine just a tiny bit, but I'm working very, very hard on his vocal excitement on the line. So we got the mark, and we're lining him up, telling him dead bird, dead bird. And again, he went for the mark and wasn't thinking dead bird. So I said no here, no E-color correction. I just said no here. Line him back up, dead, back, and he runs right down the 2-track. So this is his first session of this. So he is going to do it a little on the rough side. You got to expect that. Again, this is the first time you've seen this drill. Okay, so now we're going to have Julie move down to the 50-yard line. She was at 25 yards from the line that first time. Now she's moving down to the 50-yard line. So River comes back, have him sit. This dog has a horrible habit of holding the bumpers on the left side of his mouth, and I have to reach around and get it. Kind of annoying, but so if you see me struggle by getting that bumper, that's why. All right, she's down the 50-yard line. So I'm going to signal. She's going to stand up, shoot and throw. Another bird. Mark, mark, good. River. So I'm telling him mark on the marks. Watch that mark. And when he gets the mark and comes back and I want to get that blind, I'm telling him dead bird. So we're using our word cues as we teach the beginning of this 4-phase drill. So phase 1 is teaching the dog to run behind the gun. And that's what we're doing here. So we're starting at 25 yards, then to 50 yards, then 75 yards. We're at the 50-yard line. And again, he struggles. So I'm just telling him no here. because he's not going where I want him to. I'm telling him dead bird, back. And he's going to flare. No, don't like that either. You flare to the right and you flare to the left, it's going to get you called back. It's not what I want. We're trying to get perfection here, so I'm going to move up because he was struggling a little bit with the distance. And the classic saying, distance erodes control. So we're just going to move up, get closer to this 2-track. Dead bird, back. Okay, now we got it. So again, we're teaching here. I'm not getting heavy-handed with the collar unless he just blows out and doesn't listen to me or doesn't sit on a sit whistle. Then I'll give a little e-collar correction, but very, very little to no e-collar use here at all. Because he does respond pretty good to know here if he does something wrong. And that's enough mental pressure on him to make him stop doing that. So I didn't like that, so we're going to repeat this. So again, wasn't as bad. I was able to stop him inside the 2-track, and now I'm going to handle him. So it's just up front there that he was struggling. He didn't know if he should go right or left, but I kept him in the corridor and just handled him on this blind. So we repeated this blind. Didn't get 100% perfection, but yeah, I felt it was close enough. Now we're going to move down to 75 yards. So Julie is 75 yards from the line and about 25 yards short of the blind pile that's out there. So we're going to throw another mark. So again, I lined him up, having him watch her sit down, move her gun station. Good. Mark. Mark. Shoots and throws. River. And he's doing pretty good on the marks because he's not stopping at an old fall area. He's going directly out to where these birds are thrown. These are flat throws, by the way. Just a flat throw to the right. All right, so we got the longest mark, which is a bird. Now I'm telling him dead bird, which is going to be a bumper at the end of this pile. Dead bird. Lined up pretty good. Flared a little bit outside. I'm going to try and kick him into the corridor. Back to the corridor first, and then back to the blind. Just a little outside, so just making him handle. And he does a good job of stop. Turn around and look at me. Stays tight into that 2-track corridor when I blow the whistle. It doesn't have a big loop. Sits pretty good. Runs pretty decent blinds because he is a slower dog. You're not running 100 miles an hour and you got to be 100 yards ahead of him to where you want him to stop. So there we go. That's the behind the gun on the with the gun on the right. So behind the gun with the gun on the right. Now I'm going to run another dog, put him up, come back at this in an hour, and we're going to do the same thing, but the gun station is going to be on the left, and we'll run behind the gun. So here we are about an hour later. Sun's a little higher. You can probably see that white disc at the very end of the field. So again, we start at 25 yards. So we're establishing the line to the blind is the first step. So nothing happened. Julie's just sitting there in a chair, not doing anything. So just telling him dead bird, back. And he ran right down the 2-track, right to the pile of bumpers. Makes quick work of that, and I was very happy. Now the next phase is for Julie just to stand up and shoot. Just a dry shot, no throw. And then she will sit down, and then we'll run the blind again. Stands up, shoots, leave it, here. Dead bird, that's it. Back. And again, right down the 2-track. Stays nice and tight in the corridor, pretty much lines the blind. So now I feel pretty good that he understands that there's a pile of bumpers at the end of the field. So maybe first thing in the morning there was a little bit of backlight there and he just wasn't clearly getting the picture, but right now I'm looking at his performance and saying, yeah, I think he's got this down. I think he understands what's going on here. So there's a blind and a mark. So now it comes back. Pretty happy, a little bouncy there. Take the bumper, tell him sit, mark, shoot, throw, jumps a little ahead. Nope, heel, 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 sit, mark, river. Keeping my standards high on the line. And every time I'm saying heel, if he starts to bark or whine, then we're going to walk off. But he was pretty much quiet. He let off just a tiny bit of whining there, but not much. Okay, so we got the mark. Now I'm telling him dead bird, good, back, down the 2-track. So I'm trying to keep this as black and white as I possibly can. And he does pretty good. Gets on the pile of bumpers, tell my wife, okay, go ahead, walk down to the 50-yard line, which is very tight along the edge of that 2-track. So this is a pretty tight line to the blind behind the gun. So I'm pretty happy so far with the 25-yard mark. And let's see what he does at the 50-yard mark. So again, he got that bumper on the left of his mouth. Okay, dead bird. No, I'm telling a mark rather. Excuse me. Mark, mark, shoot and throw. Got a little ahead of me. Heel. Sit. That's it. River. I'm gonna run out. Get the mark. Good dog. I'm gonna come back. Oh, as he gets there and sits down, I'm saying dead bird. Dead. Dead bird. He starts to look out there. That's it. Dead bird. Back. Back. Good. Right down the 2-track. So this time I did very little handling, which is excellent. So you're starting to understand that we're going to get a mark first, then we're going to run a blind. So the second setup here with him running tight to the gun, with the gun being on the left, is a little cleaner than it was with the gun being on the right. So the next time I run this, which will be in about 3 or 4 days when I can get back up there, we're going to repeat this, but I'm going to start with the gun on the left and then end with the gun on the right and see if the first time out is any better or worse. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes about. But now we're at the 75-yard line. Telling them mark, mark, signal, shoot, throw. Jumps a little bit ahead of me, not much. But no, heel, sit. And I'm testing to see if he's going to be quiet. So, then I send him. Does a nice job with the mark. And he's going to come back. And this is the last one. Let's see. Dead bird. Dead. That's it. Back. Right down the 2-track. Perfect. So again, this second session was a huge improvement over the first. But now I think he clearly understands that we get a mark, run a blind. And he runs pretty tight to the gun. All right, so that's phase 1 of the 4-phase drill for Black Blizzard's Atmospheric River. Good job, Riv. We'll do this again in a couple days.